well. So, for the people who watch the channel a lot, you might notice that I have flipped the world a little bit with the colors. Wait, I opened up the space a little bit and I moved the lamp that was right there. Now you can see the bike is right here. And I put it over on this side. And the blue lights are kind of where they always were. But the blue used to go this way. And now so it's, in case you were wondering. I'm sure no one's wondering. Anyway, how are you doing? I hope you're doing well. I took a couple days off making videos here. I was trying to do the video a day, with like doing shorts with my other channel and this channel. And my girlfriend went out of town doing a girls trip, and I think I just got like bummed out and like, I don't know. I just didn't feel like doing it one day, and so now it's been like 4 days since I've done it. But I mean, it's okay to take breaks, you know, when you're not feeling it. And I was kind of forcing it a little bit. I was having fun with it, especially on my other channel, because it just felt good to make progress, because I've been like hemming and hawing about doing that channel for so long. On this channel, I like the idea of it, because I've always done like the quick tingles and stuff, but I feel like the shorts, like all my numbers are down on this channel, which is weird because all my numbers on the other channel are like way up. So it's like that's kind of a curious experiment. It's like for one channel it's working very well, on this channel it's not. But I think that's because I don't think people are watching ASMR shorts. I don't think that content's like highly requested. I think people are wanting to watch longer, rambly ASMR videos or something. So maybe I might try a couple different things, because I just like making the short stuff. And it's a potential new audience. So I might try some of the flashy, like 100 tingles in 1 minute or whatever. But yeah, I got Gatorade today. Trying to get back on the healthy train. And it's kind of late at night. I'm going to go to work tomorrow morning, so I don't want to get the caffeine. I only have caffeinated thieves in the fridge. Anyway, yeah, so that's kind of the update, catching you up to speed about where we're at. But today, I think, well, just one more thing that I wanted to say was that I think so far this month, even though it's like just now, midnight on the 17th, it's 12:30, whatever, on the 17th of July, this is already the most number of pieces of content, pieces of video that I've made, I think, in a month. And I still think I might try and catch up, so to speak. So I still hit the 31 pieces of content, and I might even extend that to 50 pieces of content, because I think it'd be really nice to build like a good library to start with. And then, like, I got the 50 in, and now I could start making a little more about what, like, longer videos about kind of what I actually want to make videos about. Not that I don't want to make videos in the shorts, because the shorts are a really good job of giving, like, the tweet version of things I'm thinking about, and I can kind of field test to see how people react to it. But then I can make some longer videos, and then hopefully that combination of, like, having a bunch of short videos and then peppering in some longer videos and then sprinkling in the tutorials that I was making but kind of phased out, not for any real reason, just because it was like some of them were only getting like 10 or 15 views, and it's like, that's kind of disheartening. And it's a bit of a process to make them that I don't enjoy as much, even though I think they're very beneficial. So I think I'm just gonna sack in and, you know, shoot the horn and really make the content this month. Because I'm interested, excited. Also, one more update. It's 5 minutes of updates. If you are following the stock market, or you're not following the stock, I got something in my eye. I'm sorry. It's like an eyelash. If you're following the stock market or not following the stock market, some interesting things are happening with Gamestop, and I can't say how it's gonna go because I have no idea. I like the stock for a lot essentially what's happening is they are doing a stock split, which is a common thing where a company thinks their stock is too expensive, so they're just splitting it. And how that works is if you own one share, now after the split happens, you'll own 4 shares instead. The difference is the 4 shares will be worth 1/4 the price each. So your equity doesn't change at all. You still, if you have $100 worth you have one share that costs $100, you'll still have, $100 worth. It'll be 4 shares that are worth $25. That makes sense? Okay, that doesn't make sense. Drop a comment. I'll try to explain it better. Why this is important is that it's not just a straight stock split, which is good if you follow the stock is overly shorted theory, which seems pretty plausible based on evidence that I've seen. But again, it's just strangers on the internet making comments, and who knows where the reality is. Like, something's happening. It's very clear that something for sure is happening. So it's important that it's paid out as a dividend, because a dividend only goes to current shareholders. So a stock split by itself would generally get people interested in the stock, because it's been trading at, I think right now it's in like the 130s. So 1/4 of that will put it down to, what is that, like $35? So somewhere in the $35 range. Depends on where it ends. Thursday after hours. So at $35, it's cheaper to buy in. So more people will buy in because it's less risk. You're like, oh, okay, but this company seems interesting. They're doing some new things. I'll take a gamble on it. I'll buy, 10 shares is $350 instead of before. 10 shares now would be like $1,300. So you see, the risk isn't as high. People are willing to toss them a couple bucks to roll the dice and see what happens. So that alone would inspire upward buying pressure, which is bad for people that have shorted the stock. But it's a dividend, which is special because those extra shares are exclusively going to people who hold the stock. Now, if you don't know what shorting a stock is, essentially, the people that are shorting the stock think the company's not good. So what they're doing is they're borrowing shares, they're renting shares from brokerages, and they're selling the stock because they think the stock price is going to go down. So they rent the shares, they sell the shares, right? Take the money, they wait for the stock to go down, and then they buy back in, return the shares, and they pay a rental fee for that. The problem is these people have shorted the stock back when it was very low. It was much lower. It was like trading for like $10 back in like 2020, the end of 2020. And they've probably shorted it when it was trading at like $300, when it was kind of at those peaks. But they've borrowed the shares for so long, they're just on the hook constantly paying that rent back. But the dividend goes to the person who has the stock. So if you borrowed shares from somebody who on paper still has the stock on the ledger, they have the stock, but it's rented out, so it's like kind of a gray zone. Like, technically they own it, but it's being rented out right now, so they can't drive their shares, they can't sell them. They're locked up. The people that have borrowed the stock will now have to find the dividend, will have to find more shares to give to the owner of the stock that they borrowed it from. And the problem is they have rented shares, sold shares, rented those shares, sold them again. So they've ostensibly sold and resold. If you're buying the short theory, they've sold and resold the stock so many times that now they are negative the number of shares that actually exist, like, out there. So they would have to buy 100% or more of the total available stock altogether, which some of it's locked up, in CEO compensation, in VP compensation. Like, the CEO can't just sell his, and he's got a lot. They can't just sell all their shares. So it's like they're going to have to buy, return, and then wait for those people to sell, buy those, return, and that's going to cause what's known as a short squeeze, and like an upward pressure is going to go who knows how high. That's the Sanaki trading, but I think we could talk more about the stock market, I guess, because I mean we're already here. We're 10 minutes in the video. So yeah, so that's kind of that's happening Friday morning at open. So when the pre-market hours start is when the split happens. So I don't know, and I can't tell you what to do, because I don't know. I don't know what's gonna happen. It may be not a bad idea if you've got some money to buy some GameStop. It might be a terrible idea to buy some GameStop. Something may or may not happen. That stock split may cause the stock to go through the roof and cause the short squeeze to go off, and the stock might go through the roof, or the split might happen, and you'll see an uptick from the interest of like, oh, this new shiny thing, like, and then people will sell their shares, and then the stock will go, and it'll just keep trading about the same it has been. It'll go up, because that's what's interesting about the stock right now is it's going very high, and then it's kind of coming down, and so like something weird is happening, and I don't know if it's just people. Somebody somewhere is manipulating the stock. Probably a lot of people are manipulating it. I can't tell you, but I like the stock for a lot of reasons. They just released the NFT thing, and honestly, I'm not that interested in NFTs. I think about, I like their thought process behind it is like, okay, well, with digital games, you'll be able to resell digital games and the creators will get a piece of the pie. And you're like, yeah, it's a good idea, but like right now, if you have digital games, the company who made the digital game gets the 100% of the pie if they resell the game. So it's like, if I bought, let's say Halo or a Mario game, right? I buy a Mario game that's digital and I want to resell it. If there's no market for that, I can't resell Mario. It's like, okay, whatever. But if you want to buy Mario, you can't buy it used because it's download only now. So you gotta go to Nintendo and be like, okay, give it to me. And Nintendo like keeps their prices like locked in. Like it's still $60 to get Breath of the Wild, Like that price has not dropped. So imagine if there were no cartridges and you could only download, you're paying the $60. So why would Nintendo give up such a huge profit margin to get, 2 or 5 or 10% of a resale? That'd only be worth like $5 or $10 to them. Granted, they don't have to do work. They don't have to have the overhead of maintaining the digital space, but like, I don't think they're gonna do that. Smaller developers might, get in on it, and then if that happens, I mean, we'll see what happens, but I don't think that's gonna really take off very well. And then, there's like digital assets for games, and I just don't know enough about that to know if that's really interesting. I'm such a casual gamer that like, I'm not paying real money for anything in a game. Like, microtransactions, not happening. Like, downloadable content. Like, when I was playing Halo 2 and they have like new maps and you're to pay for that, yeah, I'll buy that. Like, I have Mario Kart and they are re-releasing a lot of maps. Like, yeah, I'll pay for that. Like, that's something I would pay for. But I think about like Grand Theft Auto 5 and I'm like, I'm not paying money to like get money in the game to buy digital only things. I'm just not doing it. So in that respect, and then the rest of the NFT world, I'm just not interested in it at all. I don't think it's that interesting. There's one NFT project that I found pretty interesting. And that there's an artist, his name's Tom Sachs, S-A-C-H-S, Tom Sachs, and he makes really cool art. You should look him up. But he does a lot of like, he calls it bricolage, which is essentially like making stuff from other stuff. Just like hard to explain, but think like he does a lot with plywood, like more than you think could be done with plywood. He does. And so he did an NFT project called the Rocket Factory, and essentially how it worked was there's 3 types of NFT he released. There's a nose cone, a body, and the tail fin or whatever. So to get a rocket, you'd have to get all 3. And they had different designs. So you could have like a Frankenstein rocket where it's like this design, this design, this design, or a perfect rocket, which is all of the same type of design. And so if you got all 3, you could assemble the rocket in the factory. And essentially what would happen is they would take the design that you had made, that you had created, either Frankenstein or perfect. They would create the rocket as, like a small little project hobby rocket. And they would launch the rocket. And then they would try to recover the rocket. And they would film the launch. They would film the recovery mission. And then they would package it in a nice kind of case and send that to you if they could get the rocket back. So you'd have the 3 NFTs as like your certificate of authenticity. You'd have a video of Tom Sachs launching the thing. It was like a relatively famous artist. And then you'd have the cool rocket. And I'm kind of bummed I didn't see it when they announced it. Because at this point, all the rockets have sold. And so you can't get one unless you probably pay inflated prices, which I'm not going to do. Because I'm broke. I don't have that kind of money. This channel is, right now, I think, because I've been focusing on shorts, this channel is making less than $10 this month. So I'm like, okay, probably should go back to making the longer videos, because I don't think the shorts make a lot of money for anybody. Because I was looking, like, I don't understand. I think they just haven't really put ads into the short shelf yet, because they want to get people in watching it and people creating for it. But I think they gotta turn that on. They gotta turn on the monetization, because if they could pay the shorts creators, TikTok's done. Because like, think about it. If you made millions of views, and you got nothing out of it except like sponsored deals where you have to like make sponsored content, which is gross feeling and probably not fun, versus if you were getting paid in the ad money, and a million views on the shorts probably doesn't equate to the same amount as a million views on the channels. But it could still be worth a couple $100, and then that's like, okay, like if I make a short and it gets a million views and I do that every day and that's worth, $400 or $500, like, okay, now we're talking. And you get everybody that comes. That's it. You're done. You win. Or you force the other people to start paying their people, which I don't know if they have the money to do. I got like itchy ears lately. I know you're not supposed to stick. There's an old saying, you're not supposed to stick anything bigger than your elbow in your ear, but I break that rule all the time. Anyway, Tom Sachs, great artist. The Rocket Factory thing looks really cool. And I'm like, man, I wish I had money, or I wish I saw that when I had more money. Because like when he released it, I was doing okay money-wise, and I would have bought one of those rockets. Because I love Tom Sachs' work. Although I've known about Tom Sachs for a long time, but I haven't been as enamored with his work until recently, where now I'm kind of in this kick of like, ooh, multi-tools and fixing stuff. So that's kind of where my brain's at lately, is like putting things into order. It just seems like a good, fun hobby to have. So yeah, anyway, back to how this all relates to GameStop is like, the NFT thing was like their big like, ta-da, and I'm like, who cares? Like some people are interested in it, but like the NFT market crashed earlier this year. If this NFT thing like from GameStop came out a year ago, straight to the moon probably, it would have been really, people would have loved it. But right now I'm just not seeing anybody do anything that interesting with NFTs. Tom Sachs, I'm sure there's millions of NFTs right now, and a lot of them are just like people stealing art and minting it and hoping they make some money from it, or people laundering money through it. But I haven't seen a lot of like good use cases for it yet. So like the NFT market, I don't think that's that interesting. But they have talked about a lot of things, like doing a lot of online focused things, talking about going into esports, talking about going into tabletop. And it's like, if you think about, like, go on eBay and Google like Magic the Gathering and sort like price high to low, and like look at how much those pieces of cardboard go for, and think think like if they could do their arbitrage thing, arbitrage means, buying low, selling high, essentially. If they could arbitrage Magic the Gathering cards, where they pay, think about how they did the used games. You take a piece, a game card that's worth 1,000. Some of these cards are worth like $20,000. It's insane. So one that's worth like $1,000, right? There's probably dozens of them like that. And you give somebody $600 for it, they'll take it because they're just trying to sell it, And then you resell that for $900, $950, even $1,100, because you have time to wait. You've got cash on hand. You're not hurting for it. You can wait till the right buyer comes along, or the card increases in value to that new number. You've just doubled your money on a piece of cardboard, essentially. And so it's like, if you could have in-store gaming nights, you're getting traffic into the store, and they're going to buy other things. They're going to buy snacks. They're going to buy soda, like that Gamestop sells already. They're going to buy the Funko Pops. I don't get those Funko Pops either. Don't get me started on that. And then they're gonna buy and sell cards, and you're gonna make money off of them, and you can make money running tournaments. You can do all kinds of things with that, and by doing that, you're having a place to play on a regular basis. That's gonna increase the playership, increase the commitment of the existing playership. So now, if you could raise the playership by 10, 20, 30%, the value of all the cards goes up because there's more people wanting them, right? Supply demand. And so it's like, if you do that, you get Warhammer. Warhammer's like a tabletop turn-based strategy game, and those Warhammer pieces go for tons of money too. And again, you can arbitrage that. You could offer like paint services. You could employ people to paint pieces, and you think about one of those things could go for $100, but painted it might go for $200. So you hire some painters, you pay them $10 an hour, so you end up paying the painter $50 to increase the value by $100. Like, again, doubling your money essentially. So I guess that wouldn't really be doubling your money. That would be like a 50% increase, but it's still a crazy return on investment. Like, there's so many things they could do. I think you think about esports, and like, you think about like League of Legends or the Fortnite like World Championships had higher viewerships than like the Super Bowl, and the winner of those got like $3 million. Like, no Super Bowl team is paying, like, the cheapest guys are getting close to $1 million. Like, the stars are getting, $10 million to get there. And then the overhead is like, you hire the production team to set it up, but then you sell tickets to offset that. So like, before you're out the door, it's ROI positive. And if you have exclusive streaming rights, you sell ad space on it. Like, forget about it. It's millions of dollars. Like, and you just think about that with every competitive game. You got, Overwatch, you've got Fortnite, you've got League of Legends. I'm sure like Halo is still a game. Like, you don't even have to pay the winners of the smaller games millions of dollars, but you just have some kind of world championship every month or something, just to keep the viewers coming in, the ad dollars going out. And at that point, are you even selling video games? Like, who cares? You're making so much money with these other things. So that's kind of why I like the stock. But again, that's all like theory, because they might try some of that stuff and execute it very poorly, and that's it. But between the whole like short stuff and this stuff and that stuff, I like the stock. It's good. It seems like a good stock. The people running it seem like they know what they're doing. So give it a look and decide for yourself what you think. Whew. Man, I haven't talked about GameStop in a long time. I'm still excited about it, especially because I'm like, okay, because I've been in on it since December 2021 or whatever. Or 2020, December 2020. And so you're like, okay, it might come to a head, it might finish, and if it goes, I have a number, like an exit number, where I'm going to start selling, and if it goes to that number, it's like, that'd be really good for me, because then I could afford to buy a house. And if that doesn't like 3 to 5 years. So I'm hopeful, but also I'm a little biased in that I'm really snorting the opium on this one. So I'm hoping it works out, and I would love it if it worked out, and I would love it if more people saw it and it worked out for them too. But again, don't invest money you cannot afford to lose. That's the number one thing. You go on some of these like subreddits for investing, and you see people posting these huge losses, and you're like, what is wrong with these people? Like, they're gambling addicts. So don't put your rent money into this, okay? If you've got investment money, you know, that's just kicking around, and you can you could buy a couple shares, give it a shot, see, maybe it works out for us, maybe it doesn't. That's all I can tell you. So, with that said, I hope you're doing well, and I hope this video finds you well, and if not, I hope that turns around for you real soon.